We got a special edition of Inside Out as our NBA insider Ian Begley joins us from Barclays Center. Ashley Nicole Moss on hand as well. And Ian, Tom Thibodeau clearly upset with the officiating after the game. Were you surprised to see him react that way?
I wasn't. You know, he looks at the box score after watching this game, and you would think that he'd be upset just because of the discrepancy in free throws and the idea that Julius Randle takes 22 shots and takes 2 free throws. I'm not here to say whether the refs were right or wrong, but clearly the Knicks were very unhappy with the officiating. I wouldn't be surprised if someone from the Knicks heard from the league about their comments post-game tomorrow. Maybe somebody's going to get fined because of these comments, but it seemed like there were several plays where Julius Randle ended up taking contact and didn't get the whistle.
Look, at the end of the day, games aren't going to be perfectly officiated, right? But they should be consistent, and it should be somewhat of a level of conciseness throughout the entire of the game, and that just wasn't the case. And you expect sometimes home calls and superstar calls to go one way or another, but it can't be this drastically different. And I hate seeing games where officiating, or bad officiating in this case, really brings down the quality of a game and really determines the outcome of a game. Look, there's nobody to say that the Knicks would have won this game, but it would have been a lot better for them to lose on their own accord than for them to lose on some weak calls. You know, the call on Mitchell Robinson was obvious. That was the right call, but the tech on Julius Randle, it was unnecessary. There were some fouls on Kevin Durant that were called, you know, against the Knicks that were very ticky-tack, and this is the type of game that we want to see. We want to see a game where calls are being made and they're the correct calls. We want to see fouls that aren't ticky-tack fouls. We want to let these guys play. That's the way that they've been playing thus far. So it's very concerning why that was changed in this game. I know it's a big marquee game, but you can't go ahead and do this. It just brings down the quality of the game.
That tech, unfortunately, ended up being critical. A lot of attention, though, paid to the starting lineup after Kemba Walker was taken out of the rotation heading into this game. Ian, how do you think this new lineup worked against Brooklyn?
You know, I think it was solid early on, but you saw in the third quarter, the Knicks just got outplayed by the Nets, and I think that ultimately hurt them tonight with the stars on the floor, minus R.J. Barrett in that third quarter because he didn't come back in this game in the second half because he was sick. But what Tom Thibodeau wants to see with Alec Burks at point guard is better defense, because Alec Burks, the thinking goes, is really versatile on defense, can switch 1 to 3, even some 4s, and so he gives the Knicks really strong options defensively, that he's able to get to the basket. So you also saw, I think, Kemba Walker, Julius Randle, it just never seemed to coalesce there with the starting 5 with those two. So now maybe things change a little bit for Julius Randle. But I think early on it's hard to judge from this game because you didn't have R.J. Barrett for most of it. But generally, the Knicks are looking to improve on defense with that first 5 and Alec Burks in there.
Yeah, and they definitely improved. And it's going to be interesting what this means for Kemba Walker moving forward, right? Obviously, you know, there's a situation there. You can't have a bunch of small guards in that second unit. And it's going to be interesting to see if the Knicks keep him or if they trade him. I think right now it's too soon to talk about trades, because in order to trade a player, there has to be someone out there in the market that you want to trade him for. I don't think there's anybody on the Knicks' radar as of now. Obviously, Ian is the man to ask when it comes to that. But it is going to be interesting. It's a hometown kid. Everyone was looking forward to this homecoming. It just has not worked out. Again, it's still very early in the season, but to have a player that you can't play in back-to-back games because you're worried about, you know, injuries or re-aggravating some injuries that has caused him problems in previous seasons, that's just not a conducive player to win championships and to win playoffs games. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Knicks do there.